What's going on, everybody? Happy holidays and welcome to my review of Netflix's new original show, Marvel's Jessica Jones. So Jessica Jones shares the same continuity in the same universe as the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So obviously Jessica Jones is the main character of this show. She's played by Krysten Ritter. So Jessica Jones is an interesting character. She's a former superhero who has superhuman strength. She has the ability to jump really far, all of these different things, but now she's a private investigator. So she's kind of given up the superhero lifestyle to own her own detective agency within Hell's Kitchen in New York City. And because this show is on Netflix and it is unrestrained from the limitations of just regular television, it can go in so many different directions and it can go all out. And when I tell you it does, it really does. This show is dark, this show is gritty, this show is violent. Trust me, if you are not of a suitable age to watch this show, you do not need to be letting kids see this show. It's very violent and it's definitely the most violent show and thing that Marvel has put together since the creation of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But this show needs that. It needs it because of the type of show that it is, and not only that, it has a ton of different genres that intersect with each other to create this show as a whole. I mean, it's an action show, it's a detective show, it's a drama show, it's a crime thriller, it's a psychological thriller, it's a noir show. It has so many different intersections of film genres and television genres that it gives you a completely new feel of what a superhero genre or a superhero TV show can be. A lot of you who've seen Daredevil earlier this year, recognize that it was probably the darkest depiction of a superhero in the MCU thus far. Jessica Jones certainly surpasses that, but it still remains completely different tonally than Daredevil did. Daredevil certainly is a dark and gritty show, but I still feel like it was more of a traditional superhero show in a sense. Jessica Jones has nothing traditional about it. It's completely unconventional. And I think a lot of that can be contributed to the themes that are addressed in this show. These are some very, very mature themes. Themes such as post-traumatic stress disorder, sexuality, rape, assault. These are some very mature themes that are addressed in this show, and you have to be very cognizant of how heavy and how emotional it can become because these are real life things that are happening to the characters in this show. And the thing about Jessica Jones's character is that she is very rough around the edges. She's blunt, she's direct, she doesn't do things normally, and she is who she is, and she's unapologetic about it. And I think Krysten Ritter did an extraordinary job of portraying this character. Seriously, I think she is the hallmark of this show. She's the centerpiece, of course. It's named after her. Krysten Ritter did an extraordinary job of holding this character down, grounding her, and giving her this very, very relatable figure. Even though she's a superhero with superhuman strength and other things like that, she still is very relatable because she's dealing with so many real life issues. She doesn't wear a costume, she doesn't have a mask, she doesn't have a cape. She's a private investigator in Hell's Kitchen. I mean, she's dealing with a lot of very heinous things, and not only that, she's had very heinous things done to her in her past. She certainly doesn't have the greatest moral compass in the world. She's made some questionable decisions, and I think that's why this show works so well, is because you see all of the flaws in her as a character, but you also recognize her willingness to try to do good and to try to defeat the demons that she has in her life. And speaking of demons, this show's villain is absolutely phenomenal. The MCU as a whole has had a weakness of villains. That's probably the biggest Achilles heel for the MCU, is the lack of viable and believable villains. However, this villain, Kilgrave, is, like I said, just phenomenal because of the extraordinary power that he possesses. To put it bluntly, Kilgrave can control people's minds and he can make them do whatever he wants to do. I don't know about you all, but there is no bigger fear than a man who takes upon a human form who can make you do anything that he wishes. Seriously, anything. He can make you murder yourself, he can make you murder other people, he can make you do just heinous, unforgiving acts of evil. And the thing is, this character Kilgrave has a very, very tight connection with Jessica Jones. They have a history, they have a past, and this relationship is explored throughout the entire season, and it unfolds before our very eyes. it is a very, very extraordinary, unconventional, and disturbing relationship that they have. Seriously, Kilgrave is a terrible man who really doesn't see himself as terrible. He doesn't see himself as doing things that are wrong. He sees himself that, you know, as a justified person in his actions, which makes him even more horrifying. Seriously, when you're watching him, you become a little bit uncomfortable to his character just because of his motive and his actions and the things that he does and the things that he's able to make people do. Like, it's horrifying, seriously. And at this point, between Daredevil and Jessica Jones, they have already created two of the best villains in the entire MCU. Wilson Fisk as Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio in that role in Daredevil was absolutely phenomenal, and David Tennant in this role as Kilgrave knocks it out of the park as well. I thoroughly enjoyed the depiction of Kilgrave in Marvel's Jessica Jones. And overall, the cast of this show is very, very well put together. Carrie-Anne Moss has a very interesting role in this show. You don't know if she's good or evil. You don't really know all of her motives. She makes questionable decisions, but she's definitely looking out for self. And then you also have Mike Coulter as Luke Cage, who's going to be getting his own show from Netflix next year, appearing about the first half of this season. I thought he was incredible as well. His superhero strength in correlation with Jessica Jones, they make for a really good tandem together. It just gets me excited to see the teamwork that can possibly be displayed in the Defender show when all of these different street level heroes come together. But seriously, Marvel's Jessica Jones is just a really, really great show overall. I dare say it might be better than Daredevil, and that's because I don't think there's a weak episode in this series as a whole. Daredevil had some weak episodes. The thing about Jessica Jones is they pretty much hit the nail on the head every single episode. There's something new to deliver. There's something more explored that gives us new insight to these characters, and it really opens up this world. This show has dared to enter territory that no other TV show, no other superhero TV show or movie has dared to enter. It's a very dark, dismal world that this show explores, and I really enjoyed that essence of that it gives you a very real look at some real issues, giving it a superhero twist, a little bit of it, but it explores some very real issues that go on with everyday people. It definitely strikes that balance between a psychological horror television show and also a noir television show. Even in the marketing and the trailers and the lead up to it, I got a very noir, old school feel, and that's completely original for Marvel. That's what they've decided to make this show an embodiment of, like a noir psychological horror television show. All that said, I can't say enough about this show. Everything is just extraordinary. The direction, the supporting cast, the characters, the story and the plot is one of the most intriguing and interesting I've seen in the MCU thus far. It's certainly up there as the best television shows as far as the superhero genre goes. Overall, I have to give Marvel's Jessica Jones a 9.2 out of 10. Like I said, this is a phenomenal show. Completely original, completely different. New unexplored territory that opens up an entire new lane for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're already talking about a season 2. Go for it. I am all for it. Even if it's before the Defenders, I am all for seeing more of this character and seeing more of her backstory, because just everything as far as what this show encompassed, as far as the hero, the villain, and the supporting cast, it just completely knocks it out of the park. I thought it's a blast to watch. I was hooked from beginning to end. Check it out. I highly doubt you'll regret it. Alright folks, that's all I got for my review of Marvel's Jessica Jones. As always, check me out on social media, JRW the Creator on Twitter and Instagram, and then go check out my website, jordanrwilliams.com. I hope you all have a happy holidays, and as always folks, I'll see you next time.